Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 86 F's to Give podcast. I'm your host, Al, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me for episode number 19. I am so sorry about last week's episode. I fully recorded it with the metronome in the background, which is like a tapping beat every second, and it was brutal to listen to for even just like 30 seconds when I first started to try to edit it, and there was no way I was going to put you all through that. So I was going to try to re-record, but last week was just insane. I was traveling and I had my best friend's brother's wedding and there was a lot going on. So I'm sorry I didn't actually end up getting an episode up, but we are here this week. We're back. We're so back, and I have a really fun, I think it's going to be a fun episode because I'm passionate about it, but it's something that I think people are probably going to be like, oh, it's not that deep, Al, but it is that deep. And if you want to continue working on being the best version of yourself, thinking about the words that you use and how they make people feel is a huge piece of that, at least for me and in my opinion. So that's what we're talking about today. We are going to be 86ing all of the phrases that just like default to using men in them, or the phrases that are like grow a pair, or it takes balls, or calling women or like telling men they're acting like a princess, different phrases that we just use towards little boys and girls, or just men and women in general, or just people in general that are really harmful. We're 86ing all of them. And I have 6 or 7 of them that we're going to go through today, but there's way more than this. There's articles about this. There's papers written about this. So I got some of my information and inspiration from some of those articles, but there's so much more research out there if this is something that you actually want to practice and be better at. But yeah, I think this episode might end up being a little shorter than usual, but we'll see. I can talk, a girl can talk and yap, so we will see. But it's definitely something that I'm passionate about and actively working on, and have been for years, to kind of shift some of the phrases that we just naturally have been using for hundreds of years in this world, and, realizing that they actually are quite harmful, and what we can say instead, or just not say them at all, And it's also important to me because as a woman, I want the words that come out of my mouth to, one, not be degrading towards myself, right, as a female, but also to align with how I feel about women and how I believe in the values that I have. Because sometimes I think we just hear these phrases that, again, are said for 50, 60, 70 years prior to us even being born, and then we just hear them and we just think, oh, that's what we say about men and women, and we don't have to say that, it does not have to be the words that we choose to say out of our mouths. And I think that's really important, and it takes a lot of self-awareness and self-reflection. And I think you might also need an accountability partner, or someone to say, hey, I'm working on not saying man up, can you call me out if I do, especially I work in athletics, so a lot of coaches, that might be something that just gets spewed out because, even on men's teams, I think saying man up to men is also harmful, and we'll get into it, but there's just so many areas and situations where this can be helpful, and I'm excited to talk about it. That's moral of the story is I'm really excited, okay? So yeah, I'm going to share some examples, and then we're going to dive into why each of these examples are harmful, and hopefully you can take pieces from these examples into other phrases and words that I'm not going to say here. I didn't want to go through all million of them because there's so many phrases and words that are harmful to people. But these are just kind of the ones that came to the top of my mind when I was brainstorming and researching. Obviously, I said it a couple times, but the whole man up or be a man phrase is just, there's so much to that, right? And then obviously it takes balls or grow a pair, referencing the male anatomy and how if you have that anatomy, somehow you're stronger, or I don't know, doesn't make any sense to me. And then stop acting like a princess or a sissy. I haven't really heard sissy much, but research brought that one up, and I thought that was interesting because sissy, sister, female, right? And then also real men blank. I thought this was a good one to talk about. Just saying real men, do this or have this job or take the trash out or whatever, is just harmful in a lot of ways. And also is what are we referring to as not a real man, because then that becomes harmful to trans people and non-binary people, and that is just a whole nother level that we don't need to get into. Well, we will talk about it, but I'm just we don't need to be harming those people as well. Let's not be harmful to anyone, right? And then boys will be boys is another phrase that just needs to actually just be abolished, truly. And then This one I'm excited to talk about. He picks on you because he likes you. Okay, we'll dive into it, but maybe let's just not let boys bully people because they're boys, right? Like, so yeah, let's unpack some of these a little deeper. Obviously, the man up or be a man is harmful to literally anyone that you could say that to. I mean, if you're saying it to men, I think that's harmful because like then they're questioning their identities and, you know, what they need to change about themselves to like be a man. You know, especially in sports, like if they get kicked or hurt or something and your coach or your teammate tells you to man up and just suck it up, like that's invalidating how they're feeling, or, you know, physically feeling, or if they're like frustrated or, you know, their pride got hurt or whatever. Like that is all very valid feelings that you feel, especially in sports or in your career or just in, you know, in friendships, especially in like high school and stuff. You know, if to be told to just man up is like so invalidating and harmful. And then obviously if you like say man up to a woman or anyone, a non-binary individual, like that is just really effed up because like I don't want to man up. I don't want to be, there's a lot of things about men that I do not want to be, right? And I don't need to be told as a woman to man up. I think maybe woman up, okay? Maybe we say that instead. And that's been something I've actually tried to incorporate, and we'll talk about some alternatives after we go through all of these. But like, why is it just the default that like the thing that we all need to be and strive to be is a man, right? Like harmful. Then don't even get me started on the grow a pair or it takes balls, okay? Yes. This is something that my roommates and I giggle over, but like it's actually so true. And obviously I want to say the disclaimer here. I have I have not given birth, and I do not own a pair of testicles, okay? However, I do still feel qualified to speak on this as someone with female reproductive organs that has a period every month, okay? And I don't have the worst period in the world, but I've felt some pains. I have felt some pains, and I've witnessed other period having individuals feel some pains, okay? And notice the language I'm using there, because there are non-binary people that have periods, there's trans men that have periods, there are people that have both organs and have periods, so it's not just women, okay? But I feel like just from watching people with balls get flicked or tapped in that vicinity, literally hurl over in pain and like can't walk, can't talk, can't speak, can't function for the next 10 minutes. Like the fact that like I could literally go like this and you're out for the count for like multiple minutes, yet people with vaginas are pushing out humans after 9 months and years of periods and 9 months of like literally some of the worst pains and like just sickness. And obviously I have not felt that, but just based on the moms that I have in my life and the moms that I follow online, it feels like a tough year, you know? And then all the postpartum stuff, like I just can't imagine thinking that balls are really the symbol of strength here, you know? And I'm laughing because it's actually so comical. Like, I don't know. Like, obviously they're saying that because they're thinking men have balls and that they're the symbol of strength, right? So, like, that's where the metaphor or the phrase comes from. But again, I'm thinking maybe, you know, it takes lips, you know, or something. There needs to be a better, maybe we nix that one altogether. We can cut that one out of our vocabulary because, like, it simply just does not compute in my head that is the symbol of strength that we want to. Okay, I digress. You get it. But it is harmful, really, truly, without joking. It's harmful to, like, trans people that wish they were born with balls, okay? It's harmful to women that have such strong organs and parts of their bodies that are just not being acknowledged, or, you know, not being the symbol of strength. And also it's like to just say grow a pair, like what are you actually saying, right? Like let's just break that down and think about what you're actually trying to help them do or tell them to do. Like, maybe that's, you need to go self-reflect and work on your confidence, right? Like, let's tell them to do that instead of just grow a pair, right? And I think that phrase will come up a lot here. Like, what are we actually saying by saying these phrases? And because that's where the issues arise, right? Okay, I digress. Next one, stop being a princess or a sissy. Now, princess, sissy, typically references a female, right? And so we're just telling people to stop acting like girls and stop being a girl. And I mean, that's another phrase that people say, stop being a girl, you're being a little girl. And I've called a couple people out in my life about calling guys princesses or anyone a princess, because like, what are you saying? They're dramatic. Like, right, again, what are you actually saying? They're acting dramatic, they're sensitive, that like, what are you saying about women that, do you know what I mean? And so like, I think when you say these phrases, take a step back and think, what are we actually trying to say? And say that, because then, oh, this is so good. Then you'll probably be like, oh, I probably shouldn't tell my male athlete that he's being sensitive and, dramatic. And I mean, and maybe you do say it in nicer words, but like, you wouldn't just be like, stop being so sensitive. Like, I mean, maybe, but I think that would also be harmful. Like, I think there's better ways to express that. So when you try to figure out what you're actually trying to say, you can kind of take a step back and be like, okay, how can I say that without being harmful to women, men, non-binaries, people? Like, what am I actually trying to say, and how can I say that in an effective, productive manner? The real men blank phrase, and you can put anything after that, like real men wear whatever, we're real men do this. Again, I said this earlier, that's obviously harmful to trans individuals and non-binary people for so many reasons, but also it's harmful to just cis men that maybe are a little more feminine, or maybe it's harmful to gay men that, and not all gay men act more feminine, but maybe they're feeling like people think that they're not as manly or a real man because they have a job in fashion, or they're an influencer or a singer or a dancer or whatever, which like now I think the world is a lot more accepting to people being in different roles, but it's just harmful. Again, what are you actually trying to say, right? And then the whole boys will be boys. So when whoever you're saying that to has probably been hurt by a boy, right? And you're saying, oh, well, boys will be boys. So now not only are we discrediting whatever they just came to you with as an issue, right? And you're like, they're hurt. They are coming to you and saying, this and this happened. And I'm hurt, and this is the way I'm feeling. Can you help me do something about it? And you're just like, oh, boys will be boys. Like, just let them be. Invalidating, right? You're invalidating that person's feelings. And then also, you're giving boys a pass simply because they are a boy. And then also, let's just really think about that. We're saying, oh, boys will be boys. So the expectation of a boy is to just be like kind of an asshole, kind of like immature, kind of, like not the best human to people growing up. It's like, so like, honestly, I would be offended if I was a boy and the phrase boys will be boys is just getting thrown around, because like, what are you saying about boys now? Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's so backwards, because like, are we just letting boys have this bar that's so low because they're boys and they're just gonna be boys? Like, that makes no sense. And then again, like I said, it's invalidating the people that have been hurt by boys or uncomfortable by boys, and we're just letting the boys be boys because our expectations of them are so low that they can't possibly be better humans than what they're being, right? Like, how dare we put higher expectations on boys because they're boys, right? It's so silly. It's so backwards. It's so silly. And then he picks on you because he likes you. I can't tell you how many times teachers or other parents or friends or whatever growing up in like middle school, elementary school even, like I was probably like 8 years old getting full on bullied by boys in my class, and they would just be like, oh, he just has a crush on you, which like, duh, he definitely did, but like, that is not an excuse to be such an asshole. Like, I just do not, I don't understand. I don't understand how that could be. Like, again, it's the same thing with boys will be boys. Like, we're just giving them a pass because, oh no, that means they actually like you. Well, why don't they act like they like me? You know, why don't they act like they like someone? Why don't they do nice things? Because that's what you do to tell someone that you like them. You don't bully them and pick on them and pull their hair and, like, be rude to them. And, like, I'm just, doesn't make any sense to me. It never did, not even as a little 8-year-old. Doesn't make any sense to me as a 26-year-old. Won't make any sense to me as a 50-year-old. You know, like, just be nice if you like someone. And if you don't like someone, also be nice. Just be cordial. You don't have to, like, obviously go out of your way and be the nicest human in the world. But just be kind to people, whether you like them or not, right? That shouldn't be the reason that we're being nice or not. I think that's all the ones that I want to kind of dissect in this moment. There's obviously so many other words and phrases, like, different things like that we call women will hit them harder than maybe if you were to call a different individual that, such as bossy or know-it-all, you know. And it's like, especially the know-it-all one, like, calling anyone a know-it-all, it's like, okay, you're calling someone a know-it-all because they are smart and, like, they know more than you and you're, like, jealous. Like, what's really behind that, right? And then, you know, calling women bossy is just a whole nother thing. Like, it's really the comparison of, like, if a man said that, like, you would think they're, like, this powerful leader and boss, but then the second a woman says something, they're bossy and rude. So really just such double standards here, but that's kind of what this whole conversation is about, right? Is, like, these double standards that we're giving, you know, we have these low expectations of boys and men so that when they do something, they get these passes, but then also we're saying, be a real man or man up. Like, which one is it? Like, because we're giving them such low expectations that if we're to tell people to be a man, like, you want them to be this, like, immature, silly, like, not responsible person. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're so contradicting that it just doesn't make any sense to be using these phrases in our everyday language anymore, you know? And so I said a few of these already, but some alternatives that I've been implementing into my vocabulary recently is, first, of course, woman up. You know, we're going to woman up a little bit here because women are so cool and powerful and strong, and I want to be more like a woman. I want to emulate all the things that females emulate and embody, right? So we're going to woman up instead of man up, especially if we're talking about women, right? How about when we're telling someone that it takes balls or to grow a pair, why don't we just use the actual adjective or characteristic that we actually want them to have, right? Why don't we say, oh, you know, that actually takes a lot of courage to do that, or confidence to do that, or, you know, let's sit down and work on your confidence so that you can go out there and be successful and, you know, have success out on the sports field or whatever it may be. Like, let's actually tell people what we want them to do, because telling anyone to grow a pair, if someone told me to do that, I'm asking them, what exactly do you mean by that? Because one, I can't, and two, I think balls are weak as crap, so I'm not really trying to emulate that. So what exactly are you saying so that I can do what you're trying to tell me to do, you know? Because I would love to embody more courage and confidence in my everyday life, but if that's not what you're saying, like, you know, like, I'm asking follow-up questions if that's getting said to me, because, again, what do you mean by that? When we tell people to stop acting like a princess, how about we just tell them to stop acting like however they're acting, or saying, like, you know, you're actually making me feel this right now, like, can we stop? Can we maybe work on the way that you're speaking? Or, you know, if somebody is being really dramatic, you know, kids are dramatic, even I'm dramatic. Like, it is okay to tell someone, like, hey, you're being a little dramatic right now, rather than saying, hey, you're being a princess right now. Like, that, one, like, is so vague, and two, harmful, right? So why don't we just say what we actually mean? And then again, like I said earlier, if what you actually mean is too hard for you to say, then you shouldn't be saying these little phrases to, like, cover up what you actually are trying to say, right? Like, if you're trying to tell someone that they're being dramatic and, like, again, too sensitive, like, and that's too hard for you to say to them, then you shouldn't just be like, oh, well, stop being a princess. Like, no, if you're not able to say what you actually mean, don't say anything at all, right? Boys will be boys can just actually go. That can fully just leave the dictionaries, leave our vocabularies. I have no alternative for you on that one. that can definitely just be sent to the archives. Yeah, we just need to be better with calling boys out, raising our sons. Not that I have any, but, you know, I do have a son, actually. I have a little puppy son, and, you know, he's an angel, but, you know, definitely something that just needs to get nixed, and we need to just do a better job as a society holding boys and men to higher expectations. And then, of course, that he picks on you because he likes you. That is just the alternative that's screaming at me is to just believe women, right? Like, let's just believe women when they say, like, hey, this boy is actually making me really uncomfortable, or he said this to me, or he picked on me, blah, 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 blah. Let's believe them and do something about it as people in power, right? Like, if somebody's coming to you, that's because they think that you have power to do something about it, especially as a kid. Like, if you're a teacher, or you're a coach, or you're a principal, or whatever, and you're a boss, whatever, and someone's coming to you and saying, like, this happened, like, do not just dismiss them by saying, oh, it's because he likes you. No, let's actually believe women and believe that they're feeling uncomfortable and do something about it. Stand up for them. Use our powers, right? And I did want to also point out that the work is being done slowly, but it is being done, because recently, I want to say in the past, like, couple years, I heard ESPN say women down or women up when they're talking about, like, when there's a penalty on the field. And I watched lacrosse. This is the example I'm thinking of when I was watching a lacrosse game and there's a penalty and somebody has to come off the field. Like, okay, now one team is woman up and the other team is woman down. Like, that vocabulary had me jaw to the floor, because I played lacrosse for like so many years, right? And we totally just said, okay, we're going to work on our man down defense. Like, and like, yes, like, it's not that deep, but like, especially when we're trying to grow women's sports, like, the vocabulary and the words that we use are so important, right? And when I saw that, I was just like, oh, yes, we are women up and women down, because we're women. It's women's lacrosse, right? So yeah, I thought that was really cool, and obviously it's being done in other areas of the world as well, but that was just the first example that came to my mind. But yeah, I think that's all of my thoughts. I hope this wasn't too controversial. I just think it's important to talk about and to... No, I'm taking that back. It's not controversial. It's just being a good human, right? Like, let's just be good people and say things that aren't harmful to people, whether we mean to or not. And I think that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I say things all the time that align with, like, this, because we were just trained to do it. And then I'm like, hold on a second, I didn't mean that. I meant women up. Like, you know, so it's okay to make mistakes. But I think when we have conversations like this and educate ourselves on how it's making people feel, we can be better overall. So yeah. That is what I have for you today. Thank you for listening to another episode of 86 F's to Give. Next week will be episode 20, guys. Are we freaking kidding? And then I have to navigate the holidays. I don't think any of the holidays fall on a Thursday, so we should be good. But, you know, there's just a lot going on, but I should be keeping up with the episodes. So stay tuned for that. Remember to subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Leave comments, leave reviews. If you want to come on the pod, we might have some exciting guests coming in the future. I don't know. But yeah, let me know if you want to come on. I'm so down for that. And if you have any ideas for episodes, please send them over to me. Your girl is kind of struggling, but I have a bunch of lists, but then I go to like make them into an episode. And I'm like, I don't think I can talk for 30 minutes on that. But yeah, love you guys. If no one's told you recently, I love you. I'm proud of you, and you're kicking life's butt. So keep up the good work, and remember to 86 these harmful phrases, or at least start trying to. All right. Love you guys. Bye.